The Idaho 4. We've all heard the breaking news. They have arrested a suspect. They are almost 100% positive that he is the perpetrator, or at least one of them. I have to give credit to Moscow Police Department, Idaho State Police, everybody that spoke during that press conference. They showed everyone great respect, including social media, in my opinion. There was even one of the reporters who had, called out social media or sleuths, and the chief absolutely had nothing bad to say. So kudos. Plus, I give them great respect for finding this person so quickly. And I know that people think 7 weeks is a long time, but like everyone knows, just like in the Delphi case, it could have been 5 years. So I am so thankful for those families of the victims and for the students that have to go to school there, that they can feel safe and secure in their homes now. With that being said, and trust me, I am by no means, no matter what I say through here, am I meaning any disrespect to law enforcement in the Moscow or Idaho at all. Just I'll probably be making a couple of statements that sounds like I'm downing them, but I'm really not. It's just, the way we are. So listen, I'm going to give my opinion after each question that is asked, my opinion of what the chief may have been saying or what I was hearing in my own mind, what he was saying or what I think he was meaning by it. So here we go.
So now we will open the floor to questions. However, I want to remind everyone, as Prosecutor Bill Thompson explained, any factual information regarding the arrest of Kohlberger is currently sealed per Idaho law and will not be released until he has appeared in an Idaho court. Please formulate your questions accordingly. I recognize there are a lot of questions, and I will try to answer as many of them as I can.
Lauren Patterson, Northwest Public Broadcasting, Spokane Public Radio. I realize the records are sealed. I guess I'm not too familiar with how it works, but can you tell us what tip, what lead, what piece of evidence really led you all the way from Idaho to the suspect in Pennsylvania?
As I've said in the past, that's part of our investigation, and we won't be releasing that at this time. We will have those answers. We'll have them as soon as we can make those available to you.
Then a quick follow-up and a two-parter. Is our community safe, or is law enforcement still on the search for other suspects who might be involved in this attack?
What I can tell you is we have an individual in custody who committed these horrible crimes, and I do believe our community is safe, but we still need to be vigilant, right? We still have talked about this in the past. We always need to be aware of our surroundings and make sure that we're aware of what's going on.
Yeah, she said that it was a two-part question, and the first one, of course, and this is the bad part that I was talking about, they have to say basically no comment. And for people who are trying to get information, that is some of the worst words you can say, is no comment, or that's part of the investigation, we can't talk, that kind of thing. But for the second part of her question is, so for the second part of that question, in my opinion, what I heard him saying, without him actually saying it, is we have a suspect in custody. There actually may be somebody else out there or other people connected to this heinous act but we can't exactly say that because we don't want to give them a heads up that we know about them. Yes, the community is safe thus far, but that's only because, in my opinion, that's only because there was a reason for this heinous act to happen. So therefore, they don't feel anybody else is in danger. But in my opinion, I think he's saying, yes, there is somebody else out there that they're looking into.
Hi, Chief. How soon into the investigation did police and law enforcement begin to spot Mr. Koberger as a potential suspect? And a follow-up, how many tips, if you can say, were specifically related to Mr. Koberger?
To the tip part, honestly, I can't answer that question, so I'm not even going to speculate on that. On the other part, that's part of our investigation, and it will come out. I'd like the mic to please come right over here.
And once again, the worst words that anybody trying to gain information, whether it be a reporter or a content creator or whatever, that's part of the investigation, and we can't say. So, on to the next.
Thank you. Dana Griffin with NBC News. Can you confirm that Kohlberger asked whether or not anyone else had been arrested when he was in custody?
I cannot confirm that, or I'm not sure of that information, but that would still be a part of our investigation.
Did CODIS initially return any hits on this guy?
That's still part of our investigation. That will come out if we could get.
See, like here, when she asks if he asked if anybody else had been arrested. Now, to me, that tells me that he knows there was somebody else involved, and he's asking, have they already been arrested? He needs to know what they've said, or is he going to catch this whole rap himself, or is the other person or persons that were involved going to be charged as well? That to me, that's what that's saying. And then, of course, for the second part.
Somebody over here, please.
And then one final question. Is there any message to the online sleuths who slandered and harassed people who they believed were responsible?
There was a lot of speculation going on, and we've always said from the very beginning that we're the official message that comes out, and to pay attention to what we're putting out there to the press.
And like I said, this part was, she was saying, is the online sleuths, do you have a message for them? Because they were slandering people. And I'm sure there were lots and lots of people being slandered and a lot of people doing it. But I give great respect that the chief would not and refused to slander back. And, he also knows that the online sleuths also are part of the reason that all the tips came in. Or I believe he does anyways.
I'm Nancy Liu with News Nation, and we were over at the house this morning, and you told us that the remediation would begin today. It was suddenly stopped. Can you tell us why?
Yes. The house cleanup has been halted, and that came by a legal request from the court.
Now, the house cleanup has been halted by a legal request from the court, which means a court order. Why would the court need to order the house to stop being cleaned up unless there may be more evidence in the house? Maybe they found out something from this Brian Christopher about where something may be in the house, or something that he knows, or something that can prove something, something that he has said there's proof of it in the house. I hope I got that out correctly. But to me, that right there, them stopping the cleanup on the house, proves that there's something more out there that's connected in that house to what happened, and possibly that there was more people involved. And something in the house can prove it. And maybe it was just where they talked to him and he gave up the information, and that's why they stopped the cleanup. so they didn't lose the evidence.
Christina Corbin, Fox News. Chief, have you identified a motive?
That is part of the investigation, and that will come out as we continue the investigation. But what we still ask is for people to continually send us things in the tip line. We are still looking for more information. We're still trying to build that picture, just like we have stated all along. We're putting all the pieces together, and that will help.
And in this answer, still the same. He wants more tips to come in, because evidently there's more pieces of the puzzle out there, possibly more suspects out there, and he needs more information so that he can tie it all together. Or maybe he's asking for more tips to be called in, so possibly they can either confirm or deny anything that Brian guy has told them about maybe somebody else being involved. Maybe I'm wrong, guys, but these are the things that I'm hearing. Y'all let me know what you're hearing, okay? Tell me what you think.
Chief, Veronica Miracle with CNN. Any indication that the suspect knew the victims?
That's part of the investigation as well. It won't be something that will come out at this point in time, but as we continue the investigation and as this case goes to trial, that will be brought forth.
Have you spoken to the families? Can you tell us what they've told you today?
Are you talking the victims' families?
Yes, the victims' families.
Yeah, we have reached out to the victims' family as we always do. We've done that daily, and we've continued to have contact with them.
Now, as far as this one goes, the first part of the question is, have you confirmed that he knew the victims, or however the question was worded? And he says that will be brought forward during the trial, basically. What will be brought forward during the trial? The fact that he knew the victims and was in close contact with the people that lived in that house, or had relationships with them. Maybe he was friends with them. Maybe he was friends with Ethan. Maybe he had a disagreement with Ethan. Maybe he had a disagreement with one of the girls. I mean, I myself am really eager to find out what connection he may have had. I truly do not think this man did it all by himself. I've been saying that from the start. I don't think one person could have done this.
Hey, Nate Sanford, you mentioned earlier that you're still seeking tips about Brian and that people should still share whatever information they have. Can you speak at all about what specifically people should be reaching out for, like if they know something?
I would say anything and everything. As we've said all along, we know what tips we're looking for. We will take those tips and we will have professionals look at those and decide which pieces of those we need to use for our case. So we ask that everybody would do that.
And again, they're asking for any and all tips. And once the tips are called in, they will sort them out because they know what they're looking for. Like I said, they're trying to look for evidence to either confirm or deny something that Brian, whatever his last name is, told them. Either something about why it was done or somebody else being involved, something.
Angela Palermo, Idaho Statesman. Your department and other investigators on the case took a lot of flack for keeping information close to your chest. Are you glad that you did that, and were you worried about tipping the suspect off?
I will 100% stand behind the way that we handled this investigation. And this all started from day one with our patrol officers arriving on scene, locking down the scene, us calling in the Idaho State Police, us calling in the FBI, and keeping information that was pertinent to this case very, very tight. We want to have a situation where when this goes to trial, there is no doubt that we've done everything right and we've slowed down and we've continued to slow down and we'll continue to do that.
And in my opinion, that was a useless question. I'm sorry for the person who asked it, but that was useless. Of course, they were scared that they were going to tip off the suspect, whoever it may have been. I mean, that's a given. So sorry. That was a worthless question.
Hey, Chief. Have you guys found the murder weapon or the Hyundai Elantra?
So we are still looking for all pieces of evidence, but we are still looking for the weapon. And I will say that we have found an Elantra.
In this one, he says that they're still looking for all pieces of evidence, which obviously they've not found the knife. But in my opinion, he's also stating there are other pieces of evidence out there that they are trying to locate. Again, possibly information coming from the suspect that they already arrested. Maybe he's told them something. Maybe that's specifically what they're looking for. Maybe that's why they're asking people to keep calling in the tips. Who knows? In my opinion, that's what's being said. I may be totally off right now, but that's what I hear.
Stephanie Becker with CNN. Can you tell what it was like when you got the phone call when the police told you that they had your suspect?
I can tell you, for a lot of law enforcement, it was a fairly sleepless couple of days with as we were leading up to everything that we were doing. But what I can tell you is I have faith in those agencies across the nation. I have faith in our officers. I have faith in the FBI, and they did a great job. But sure, there was some times, even throughout the day, that we were always concerned.
Now, with the way this question was worded, the way he answered it, to me, okay, we know for a fact that this Brian was arrested early morning of Friday morning, like 2-3 o'clock. So he said, or the way she worded it was, were you basically, were you happy when, you got the call from the police? The way he answered it sounds to me like they got the call from the Pennsylvania police or the FBI stating a couple of days ago that, hey, we think we found this guy and we've just got to wait and catch up with him, or we've got to wait for the right opportunity to arrest him. Because if you'll listen to him, he says they had a couple of sleepless nights leading up to. So to me, that says they knew where the guy was at and was just waiting to pounce on him a couple of days before he was actually arrested. Just my opinion, guys.
Chief Don, you're back at CBS News. Can you talk a little bit more about the suspect's connection to Pennsylvania?
All I know is that he lives in Pennsylvania.
Chief Guy Tannenbaum from Nonstop Local KHQ in Spokane. More about the Elantra. We saw reports that you mentioned that you recovered an Elantra, but can you specify where that was found? And we know that that was one of the biggest pieces of information you were asking from the public to tip. Were you able to provide an information on whether those tips led to this seizure of an Elantra?
That's still part of the investigation that will come out in the future.
More part of the investigation. It'll come out in the future. I do understand they have to keep the information close to their chest or vest or whatever you want to call it. But once again, when we're digging for information, those are the words we hate the most. But I do understand why they have to say it.
Chief Glenn Mosley, Idaho Public Radio here in Moscow. The additional police presence in town and on campus, semester's coming. Is that going to continue?
You will continue to see state troopers in the area. We're talking to Latah County as well. You will see a presence of us that we're always have up on campus. We have assigned officers to that. So you will continue to see a law enforcement presence.
As far as continuing to see officers in the area from all the different departments, that's for one, to make the students and the people that are going to be coming back to class feel safer, but two, because the investigation is still not over, guys. They're still looking for evidence. They're still looking for, more than likely, at least one other suspect. Of course, law enforcement is still going to be heavy in that area.
I'm going to take 2 more questions.
Hi, Chief. Julie Scott, ABC News. Can you tell us if you eventually had a license plate number to the Elantra and how you tracked it to Pullman?
That's still part of the investigation that will come out.
Chief, hi, Matt Lovelace with the Murrow College of Communication. I want to ask about Mr. Koberger as a graduate student at WSU. Are you aware of if he returned to campus after November 13th? And have you had any communication with departments on the WSU campus about his attendance?
So some of that is going to be followed up as we continue our investigation. We'll be asking some of those questions, but that'll come out in the near future.
So for the question of did he return back to his own campus after November the 13th, from what I can get, what the chief is saying is they're not real sure if he did go back to classes or not. They're still checking into that, and it'll come out in time. I mean, I really do give this law enforcement in this state, this county, this town kudos. I mean, they really are doing a good job, and they're trying to make sure that whoever did this, however many people did it, that they all pay for what they've done.
What I do want to do is I want to thank you all. You really have been the national voice for us. You've given us the opportunity to get many, many tips, and I do appreciate everything you've done, and we'll continue to look forward to working with you in the future on this. So I'd like to thank you for that, and thank you for your time.
And just one last statement from me, guys. I mean, those are my opinions that I have run throughout this video. In my opinion, there are more people, or at least one other person out there that is responsible for this, that needs to be caught. And I honestly and truly believe that law enforcement knows this, and they are looking for them. They're doing everything they can to find that person, identify that person, and take that person into custody as well. Now, you can believe what you want. Maybe I'm completely wrong on this, but normally I have good insight. I normally have good, intuition when it comes to things. So I do pray that each and every one of the victims' families finds peace. Their children were taken way too soon. And it's just a horrendous incident that should never have happened. And whoever is connected with this needs to pay. God bless the families, and God bless the people that are connected to this, and the law enforcement officers that are having to deal with it.